Welcome to round number 3 of the SRAM Downhill Southeast Series in 2022. We're here at Massanutten Resort just outside of McGaysville, Virginia, with 320 racers registered to tackle the classic slopes here at Massanutten Ski Resort. I'm Will Washam, known on the series as Trill Will, and we're going to take you through everything pre-race right up to the race runs of the pro women and the pro men. Our Cat 2-3 amateur racers will be tackling the classic World Cup racetrack here at Massanutten. Pieces of that course are the exact same as they were from the 1997 World Cup, albeit with a little less dirt and a little more rock. We've got the All or Nothing racetrack for our pros and Cat 1s, which was cut in 2016. We've had some great races on that course, but we thought it was time for an update. So we brought in Greenstone Trailcraft out of Frederick, Maryland to put in 4 fresh wood sections and revamp some jumps up top, so we can't wait to show you the action as it unfolds at the halfway point in our season for the 2022 SRAM Downhill Southeast. The storied slopes at Massanutten Ski Resort have hosted downhill racing almost every year since the 1997 World Cup. So many riders out here on the downhill scene had their very first downhill race here at Massanutten, including myself back in 2008. Since 2016, the pro racers have been on the All or Nothing track. That track had taken a beating, so this year we brought in Greenstone Trailcraft to help freshen up that track with 4 fresh sections and some other great work. We've got Andrew Mueller, founder of Greenstone Trailcraft, with us, so let's sit down and find out more about this track. Well, I'm here with Andrew Mueller of Greenstone Trailcraft. Andrew, how are you doing this morning?
Doing good, Will. Glad to be here.
We're so glad that you came to help get this track spruced up. And someone like yourself who's a trail builder and a mountain biker into the race scene, you probably caught the bug at an early age. How'd you get into riding mountain bikes?
Yeah, you could say that. Grew up on 2 wheels and was lucky enough to have a lifelong cyclist as a dad who thought we should try this new mountain bike craze, and then went to Appalachian State in Boone, North Carolina, and that really opened up a whole new type of terrain and really became more interested in the kind of free ride and downhill side of riding. So that kind of just spiraled from there, you could say, and here we are.
Tell us a little bit more about your company, Greenstone Trailcraft. Where are you guys based out of, and what have you all been up to the past couple years building-wise?
So we're based in Frederick, Maryland. I'm the founder and owner of Greenstone, and we're doing a lot of work with Maryland State Parks and a lot of multi-use, multi-directional trails. But gravity is kind of my true passion, so it's really exciting to get the call for this project.
Yeah, so what went through your mind when Nico gave you the call and said, hey, Andrew, we've got this Massanutten race coming up this year and we're interested in having you down to freshen up the track?
Well, you can't say no to that, can you? So, you know, I took a hard look at the schedule and figured out how we could squeeze it in, and I said let's do it. Lucky to have a really skilled crew working with me for a weekend of moving rocks and battling against the mountain laurel, and the results, I think, are going to speak for themselves.
Yeah, tell us about the terrain up here when you're cutting virgin trail here at Massanutten.
Oh man, let me tell you, some of the thickest corridor clearing that I've encountered anywhere. Then it's just rocks and very little actual soil to work with. You got to kind of read the terrain and try to find a way that you think is going to work without relying on and counting on getting a bunch of soil. So we're really just looking for natural contours and things that looked like they would ride well without a ton of manipulation. And also just kind of looking at the old track and based on the feedback from the riders previous years and riding it myself, trying to find some areas that were limiting the flow and find some new creative ways around them to just sort of make a more cohesive, fluid run.
Yeah, the track was put in, the All or Nothing track was put in 2016 when the bike park opened here. Definitely had plenty of miles on it and was in need of a little freshening up. There are 4 new sections, and then you also took the excavator to an existing section of trail. Yep. What are some of your favorite bits about the new track layout?
So like you mentioned, we did a little bit of a refresh and tweak on an existing section of bike park trail. Not only made it smoother, but also adjusted the spacing on some of the jumps, and actually took a section where it had sort of 4 small jumps, rethought it, and invested the material into just building 2 good jumps. So we have, a few opportunities to get the wheels off the ground before you just get thrown at the rocks for the rest of the way down.
And speaking of all the rocks on track, your crew really did a number on kind of the main signature rock garden in the middle of the track. Tell us a little bit about that section.
Yeah, they just did such a great job there. When we're scouting it out, we just walked up to that area, and it's almost like an overlook that you would hike to. It's just a beautiful spot, exposed rock, and some long-range views. So we're like, we have to integrate this. So we sort of changed the approach and exit angle of that existing rock garden, opened up a new line to the right, and there's some chances to gap some things, do some crossovers, a few different ways to ride it, and also a chance to show off some of our rock work that we really like to integrate into our trails for that great visual effect. And I think there's gonna be some great photo and video opportunities in that area.
Agreed. And I was able to get on track and do a couple laps with you. I got to get your take on how those new sections are breaking in.
Man, they are just changing by the minute, by the rider. So many tires and that kind of mulchy soil, and also it's really dry. But the new sections just feel like such a breath of fresh air compared to just sort of the endless rock garden. Being able to get your tires on some fresh, loamy soil gives it just that classic downhill race track feeling.
Yeah, I was loving the laps yesterday. I got 5 laps in. That's about all this announcer can handle. And I was also glad that I was getting tires on track early in the race weekend. Like you said, it's chopping up, it's changing, and it's definitely getting rougher. We're going racing. What sections on the track do you think are key if you want to be on top of the box?
The top from the start line to the road crossing looks very challenging. I think the people that execute that really well versus the people that stumble a little bit, lose some momentum, are going to have a big advantage. And then beyond that, I don't see a ton of places where you can easily make big gains in time, but I definitely see a lot of opportunity to lose a lot of time. If you get messed up in one of those chunky, flatter areas, it's just going to be hard to recover from that and get going without losing a bunch of time.
Yeah, it's a great course here, and I know we're going to be in store for some exciting racing. So what do you say, Mueller? Let's get ready and have these boys and girls go racing.
Yeah, let's do it.
Massanutten Resort is a playground for mountain bikers and outdoor enthusiasts. Massanutten will have the lower trails running all summer with that lower lift spinning, and they'll also have special shuttle access to the western cross-country trails on Fridays from 10 to 6 p.m. You can get your lodging through Massanutten Resort. They have condos, hotels, and everything you need for a great weekend stay. Massanutten has a water park with a flow rider, 2 golf courses, and a family adventure park, including a climbing wall, summer tubing, and zip line. Bordering the George Washington National Forest, you'll never be at a loss for trails with direct access from the resort to the National Forest. The Roanoke Valley Development Gravity Team is sponsored by Massanutten, and they're out here at their home track this weekend ready to get rowdy. Well, this track here at Massanutten is full on from top to bottom. Right out of the gate, racers go to the signature Massanutten Ridge Rock Garden. This is the exact same rock section on the Massanutten Ridge that World Cup racers used in 1997. After you make it through those pointy rocks, hopefully with your wheels intact, you hit the Greenstone Trailcraft Motorway. It's a section with about 6 jump features, a few rocks sprinkled in that Greenstone Trailcraft freshened up especially for this race. Then you'll dive into the meat of this track. It's a series of various rock gardens, and we've used some of the classic all or nothing rock sections and mixed in some fresh cut sections with great loam and of course more rocks. At the heart of that middle section is Party Rock. You've got so many choices. You can hit it any way you'd like to. And once you make it through Party Rock, it is nothing but full throttle to the bottom. The very final section is the Scrapyard Rock Garden. It's known to chew people's wheels up and spit them out left and right. Hopefully you've still got air in your tires and there's nothing left between you and the finish line but a few pedals on the slopes. Those of you that have followed Downhill Southeast for the past 6 seasons have seen this series explode. And some of those categories that have grown the most are our junior racers. You'll notice a lot of orange, red, maroon, and blue jerseys at Downhill Southeast, and those are riders for the Gravity Academy. It's a team that has a plethora of junior racers in all mountain bike disciplines, and we've got the head coach of the Gravity Academy, Corey Rimmer, to sit down with us and tell us a little bit more about what's going on with the Gravity Academy.
I'm Corey Rimmer. I'm from Maryville, Tennessee. I started riding bikes, at a young age. That's how we got around the neighborhood to say hey to the friends and things like that. And then started doing, okay at a local level. And then I joined a team called Cycle Youth, ran by Andy Johnston out of Atlanta. And it was pretty unique. He was there at every race supporting us and helping us with all kinds of different aspects of the cycling world, and kind of showed us what training looked like and how to live a lifestyle of an athlete. Then that's kind of where my progression really took off as a rider and a racer, and been doing it ever since. Coming in, leaning my bike to the left, pointing my knees to the left. 2016, Sean Leader and Nico Malali started Windrock Bike Park. To the left. About that same time, I started coaching kind of on a more serious level, more professional level. So let's give that a try. Just come back and just use those knees, all right? Nice. Started linking up with kids there, just giving basic lessons, and they were going to Downhill Southeast races. I went to these races and I was supporting these kids, doing track walk with them, riding with them during practice, and I would say I was going to do it with 3 kids, and then I had 13 kids show up, because they all found out that, there was this group track walk happening. And so that's when I kind of saw that, there's a need here, and there's a ton of great teams here, but nobody was really getting hands-on with the development of the rider. When I started the Gravity Academy, it was just my coaching services. The kids like, you should start a team, and I was like, no way, that's too much work, and so here I am with a team and doing too much work. Whenever you're ready. Saturday mornings during bee practice, we host a free clinic. It's an hour, it's no expenses to the riders. Nice. So when you go to lean the bike over, one thing you have a habit of doing is leaning back a little bit. Try to stay on top. Everything else is super good, but when you stay on top of the bike, that's gonna allow you to really lean it over for those high speed corners, all right? Give that a try. We stack it throughout the series, and as we progress through and start talking about more complicated topics, it makes it really nice because hopefully they can kind of quantify their improvement throughout the races. The big goal at Gravity Academy is to create a pathway for someone just starting out to reach their goal. Every rider that comes to us has a different goal. It could be getting top 5 in the Cat 2-3 category at Downhill Southeast to qualifying for World Cups. We want to be able to lay a pathway and a plan for them to achieve those goals. Here's a map that we've kind of created to make that happen. And that map is based off my experiences, my staff's experiences, and a lot of the experience from the pro riders who come out here. I talk to people who have done the things that my riders want to do, and I say, how did this happen? And so to be able to gather more information on how they were able to make it a success for them is something that I tried to gain from them as well, so that we can pass that information on. So the easiest way to find us is either message us on Instagram, and better yet, just come out to the race, see us in the pit, ask us questions. We're always just hanging out, love to chit chat with everybody, and everyone's welcome to come hang out and say hi.
And there is Massanutten Peak, rising 2,922 feet in elevation from the valley floor of the Shenandoah Valley. The Massanutten Ridge is a 50-mile long ridge with sandstone formations. And there's our track. 3 distinct sections. Split 1 in green, a little bit flatter, and then the Gravity comes in with split 2 in yellow, split 3 in red, with 4 key sections within those splits. Up top, we've got the Massanutten Ridge, followed by the Greenstone Trailcraft Motorway. In split number 2, we've got the Party Rock section where all the action is, and then finally the Scrap Yard Rock Garden in split number 3 before racers come to the finish.
Well, we've made it to race day morning here at round number 3 of the SRAM Downhill Southeast. Riders have been charging on the slopes of Massanutten since Friday practice began, and these new sections are really starting to break in. We've got loam flying everywhere, rocks popping up, and racers are ready to throw down today for finals. We've had great weather all week. The forecast is a bit ominous today, but there's no question about tire choice. This track handles the rain great, so bring it on.
Here are our seating results from yesterday, with Shell Peugeot on top with a 330.42, Abby Ronca in second with a 347.25, and Lily Driver in third with a 403. We will see what happens today. I have a feeling those seating times will come down as the track speeds up. Here's our first rider, Jordan Bell out of North Huntington, Pennsylvania. A 440 in qualifying for Bell. Jordan Bell familiar with the terrain here at Massanutten. She was 6th at this race in 2021. Straight into the Massanutten Ridge Rock Garden right off the top. This rock formation, part of that 50-mile long ridge. Very tricky right off the bat. It's going to be key for racers to carry speed right here as they drop into the road, and Bell getting a little hung up there. A little opportunity for racers to rest, try to build their strength back up to the bottom rocks here in that motorway section. As we approach split number 1, it's a 1:13 for Jordan Bell at split number 1.
Yeah, Jordan, let's go.
The split number 2 section of this track is very different from number 1. It's got more gravity, and it's also got a myriad of rock gardens and rock features. Jordan's coming into one of the newer sections of the track for 2022. Really opened up this rock garden with the help of our friends at Greenstone Trailcraft. We call it the Party Rock section. Right after you exit Party Rock, you're back into more fresh cuts, so a new feeling and a new texture for riders here at Massanutten, when in years past this course has been strictly rocks like what you see here on the screen. A little bit more fresh cut before riders hit this final rock garden. This is going to be where split number 2 ends. It's 3:35.64, so 11 seconds up on our current hot seat time for Jordan Bell. And the final piece to this track is the Scrapyard Rock Garden. All sorts of rocks flying around in there, constantly changing.
Jordan Bell, 3:35 through split 2, and here is
Jordan Bell coming down to the finish line. She will set the standard here with a 4:30.24, 3.87 seconds up on our current hot seat time. Here's Alana Casey. She's out of Glen Burnie, Maryland. Had a 4:23.27 in qualifying. So Casey, relatively new to the downhill scene. She has a ton of power, and you'll see it in her riding style as she attacks this track at Massanutten. Oh, and you can see the paces there right off the bat for Alana. Incredibly key section of this track. You've got to find a way to make it through these rocks smooth. So Casey through those rocks and on the gas here in the Greenstone Trailcraft motorway. Some nice jumps to get your rhythm on. And it's 7 seconds up for Casey.
Yeah.
So 106.7, that's 7 seconds up on Jordan Bell at split number 1. And opting for the big rock line down the gut here.
That's the same bike.
Alana Casey was 7th at round number 2 in Windrock. Casey comes into the Party Rock section. There's a few different ways to ride this one, and Casey's going to go rider's left line. Nicely off the drop at the end of the Party Rock section for Alana Casey and into this fresh loam. Oh no! Alana Casey, OTB right there, caught something on the edge of the track. You can see the dust and dirt on the back of her jersey. We'll see what happened to her time here at the bottom of split number 2. She was definitely on pace before that, and she's still up. Oh my goodness, she's extended. Extended it to 21 seconds into the green for Alana Casey, and she's still on the move, trying to make up for that mistake. Alana Casey on the pedals here. One final turn. Was definitely on a good run, had that mistake, and it's a 3:58.22. So obviously she's a little disappointed with that, but still a great time as we look to Lily Driver out of Taylor, South Carolina. Driver's qualifying time a 4:03, so she's going to need to go faster than that if she wants to slot in front of Alana Casey. Driver with a nice 2022 campaign so far in this young downhill season. She was first place in the Cat 1 Women at the Tennessee National, was also 4th at round number 2 of the Downhill Southeast in the Pro Open Women. Driver on a similar line to Alana Casey. And into the Greenstone Trailcraft Motorway section. Split number 1 coming up, and driver is back. She's 2.6 back, but still sitting in second place.
Let's go.
Lily continuing to navigate what seems like the endless rock gardens here in split number 2. Driver's riding for the Gravity Academy, so she's been out on track with teammates, dissecting the lines here, opting for riders left through those rocks and over the drop. It's looking like a nice and tidy middle section for Lily Driver. I mean, you really just want to keep your speed, keep your momentum here on this track. If you can do that, the times will be good. She was just over 2 seconds back at split number 1. And we know that Alana Casey had that crash, and yes, driver was able to pull time back. Wow, she's 5.12 up. Lily Driver looking to make the final push through the scrapyard rock garden. She was 5 seconds up on Alana Casey, and it's basically one big rock garden there in split number 3 to the finish.
Up by 5 seconds at split number 2. The time to beat
Lily Driver coming to the finish line, and it's going to be red. Wow. 2.19 back on Alana Casey, so 4 minutes, .21 will be the time for Lily Driver into second place. Here is Abigail Ronka. Ronka's out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. She was second in seating. If she can do a similar time, that's going to put her into the hot seat. So Ronka was third at round number 1 of the Downhill Southeast, also third at round number 2 in Windrock, seated second here. So trying to improve on those third place finishes here in Massanutten. Oh, great line right there, carrying the momentum and pace. You can see immediately on the pedals. And able to get up and over those doubles here on the Greenstone Trailcraft Motorway. And it's 3.8 into the green for Ronka on split number 1. So she's going to be able to take that pace that she built at the top into split number 2. If you lose your flow in here, these rocks are relentless. It's really hard to get it back, so important to have a nice top split here. And Ronka going for rider's right line there through Party Rock. I like that line. That's a new line opened up this year by the Greenstone Trailcraft crew. Some nice, delicious loam to mix it up in between the rock gardens here for the 2022 track in Massanutten. And we'll see if Abby Ronka can extend that lead here. And she will. Wow, 17 seconds up, so it's 2:57 through split number 2, and look at her. Abby Ronka on the move through this final scrapyard rock garden. Oh, and she's feeling fresh at the bottom, heavy on the pedals, trying to put some more time down on this run. Ronka will go 3:35.36. So that is within 5 seconds of Shell Peugeot's top seeding time from yesterday. Great run for Abigail Ronka. That brings us to our last woman on track, Shell Peugeot. She's looking confident, looking fierce today with a 3:30 in qualifying. Shell Peugeot is sitting in first place in our overall points series thus far after 2 rounds in Downhill Southeast. She took the win at Trials Training Center, was second at Windrock in round number 2. Shell was also second place at this venue last year. You can hear those wheels and tires working. Shell making short work there of that rock garden. Oh my goodness. On the edge for Peugeot. Couple pedal strokes though, back up to speed on the Greenstone Trailcraft motorway. Wow, a sub 1 minute first split, 3.51 up on Abigail Ronka for Shell Peugeot. Oh, a nice and tidy line right there on the right side of the rock roll down. Kind of missed a couple square edge hits. You will take any smooth line where you can get it here at Massanutten. Hear those rims working hard again. They've just got to hold on for one more run. Peugeot going riders right in Party Rock. Looking very composed here. So it was just over 3 seconds up at split number 1 for Shell Peugeot. Got to think she's going to extend that with a clean run here through split 2. And here is split 2. Yes, it's a big extension. 9.48 for Peugeot. Into the scrapyard here. You can see the fans starting to fill up the track at Massanutten. Shell nice and tidy there. And just a couple pedal strokes between Peugeot and the finish line here. Shell gonna cross the line green. 2.69 up on Ronka. It's a 3:32, so lost a little bit of time there at the last split, but that's enough to get it done today. As Shell Peugeot will take the win here at round number 3 of the SRAM Downhill Southeast in Massanutten. And there's your podium. Shell Peugeot, Abigail Ronka in second, and Alana Casey up in third.
Last one was a bit of a weird week for me. A bunch of things happened the week before and I was coming back from Europe. So I kind of just came into the race to have fun and hang out with the friends, and I did that. But this week I've been putting in a good month of training and I've been pretty stoked on riding a lot of bikes, going to the gym a lot. So I was really excited to come here because I really love the track to begin with, and it was even better than last year. So like, what more can you ask? I was really fired up to ride that track and all the rocks and stuff. It's really right up my alley. So I was really stoked to put in a good run, and I kind of did that. So I'm pretty happy, yeah. Like last year was already super good because I love rocks and it's just rocks top to bottom. But then they switched up a couple sections and put in some fresh loamy lines out there, and it was super sick. It's an interesting one because like there's rocks everywhere. It looks super gnarly, but if you just kind of let go of the brakes and just aim for like not a specific line, because you can't like pinpoint where you're gonna go, but just like general direction and try to not touch the brakes, it actually kind of runs kind of smooth, but it just looks super gnarly. But then you also like you're 2-3 minutes down the track and your arms are just jello and you're just hoping your hands are gonna stay on the bar. So it's kind of sick. It literally feels like a World Cup, except the vibes are just a bit more chill.
Here are the results from yesterday's seating session. It was Nico Malali piloting that Frameworks bike to the top spot with a 239.1. The only rider to break that 240 barrier in pro men. Steve Estabrook seated in second, 244.81, so just about 5 seconds back. Max Beaupré in third on that Cannondale Jekyll with a new dual crown fork. It's a 251 for Beaupré. Jake Kahn right there on the same, second and fourth. And Ian Norris rounding out your top 5. And it's Matthew Spong kicking us off out of Louisville, North Carolina. He was 3 minutes flat, .94 in seeding. Spong seeding in 10th place today. He's 20 years old, doing some collegiate racing with Milligan College. So really just his second year in the pro ranks. And Spong showing us how to carry speed here through the Massanutten Ridge Rock Garden. It's going to be an incredibly key section as this race unfolds. Couple different line options right there. Spong going straight down the gut. And the Greenstone Trailcraft Motorway, freshly rebuilt this year. It's an existing section of bike park track here. It's a 51.72 for Spong in split number 1. Yeah, this young man has a full throttle riding style. He's a big, strong lad. Definitely does not skip leg day. And you'll see riders just running over everything in their path. It's not really about choosing a smooth line here. It's about choosing a straight line as Spong opts for riders left through Party Rock. I think we'll see a lot of that here in the Pro Men. Well, it's looking like a clean run here for Spong, kind of going middle line there through that off-camber rock garden. It's a lot more off-camber than it looks here on screen. So a 219.86 for Spong, so he's 0.79 up on Cooper Rodriguez, who is currently sitting in the hot seat. And straight down the middle there of the Scrapyard Rock Garden, a signature feature of this All-or-Nothing racetrack in Massanutten. Well, here's Spong. He was 13th at round number 1 at Downhill Southeast, and he's going to cross into the hot seat with a 254.89, 2.42 seconds up on Cooper Rodriguez. Here's Jordan Bolden. Bolden out of Knoxville, Tennessee. He was 3rd overall in the Enduro Southeast. Stepping up here to race the big bike for round number 3 of the SRAM Downhill Southeast in Massanutten. Bolden seated in 9th place. You've got to hop those holes on the Massanutten Ridge Rock Garden section. Those will zap all your speed. Might even cost you a wheel or two as well if you don't get those gaps precise. Bolden is flowing right here, trying to catch his breath for a bit on the motorway up to split 1, and he's 1.1 up on Matt Spong. And Bolden on that outside line right there, just throwing it into the corner. Deep into split number 2 now. Bolden approaching Party Rock, a brand new entrance. Couple line choices right there coming into it, and he's on that rider's left line. Well, Bolden surviving that Party Rock Rock Garden. There's a lot of edges in there, folks. Folks running extra PSI today to make sure they get to the bottom of the track. Bolden a little bit loose right there, trying to get to the outside line. Running her wide again here in the fresh section. And Bolden going to extend that by about 0.6 over Matt Spong. Jordan Bolden up by 1.7 there. Can he hold that advantage to the end? Spong with a strong run through the rock garden, and he's going to hang on. Bolden into the hot seat, 254.67, just 0.22 ahead of Matt Spong. Well, here's Cooper Pleva out of Glenwood, New Jersey. Another tight qualifying time. He ended up in 8th place there in the seeding session. So this should be a good run from Pleva. He was the overall champ for the 2021 Eastern States Cup Cat 1 19-29 series, so stepping up to race pro this year. Love that mentality from Pleva. Oh my, wow. Getting hung up there on the front wheel. That is a dicey spot. Actually saw Angelo Walsh, one of our Virginia racers, take a hard one at that same spot in practice. Pleva held it together, and he's 0.55 up at split 1. So that little hiccup did not slow him down. And on an interesting line right there, went from far left to far right. Pleva has the experience, multiple wins to his name in Cat 1 last year, Eastern States Cup, and putting that experience to work. Nice inside line. Oh, and he's gapping in. The party is getting started here on Party Rock. I know that's going to be a favorite line of a lot of these pro racers, trying to gap over some of those hits. Pleva running it wide right there.
Looking good.
Plenty of real estate to work with. Oh, and he goes inside. So that's a new line here. Split 2 for Pleva. No, he's back. 4.73 for Pleva. So he's lost time. Can he make that up in the Scrapyard Rock Garden section? We will have to see. It's going to be a tall order to pull it back on Jordan Bolden. But Pleva not short on juice down through the finish line. It's going to be a 2:57.94 for Pleva. 3 seconds back, and he'll go into 4th place. Well, here is Corey Jackson. He's out of Base, Virginia. Qualified just sub 3 minutes with a 2:59.06, riding for 100% and Bryce Resort. Jordan Bolden still holding on to that top time. Corey Jackson was our Junior Series champ in 21, starting it off with that tombstone gap. Oh, so smooth, barely having to pull up at all to hop those holes. Whoa, whoa. Messy from Jackson, but he holds it together. Sometimes not a whole lot you can do, but hold on and try to ride it out when these rocks get you at Massanutten. So Jackson, 1.67 back at split number 1. Actually not bad with that big mistake. It's real flat right there, so he had to basically start from no speed on the motorway section. Throwing it hard into that loamy corner. Oh, and over Party Rock like nothing. So Jackson was 3rd at split number 1 with that mistake. Another little bobble right there, and that's the thing about this Massanutten track. You make one mistake and it can kind of rattle you. Mistakes starting to pile up.
I love that bike. Yeah, Corey.
And Jackson gonna lose more time, so he'll slide back to 4th, 5.92 back. On it through the Scrapyard Rock Garden. So can Jackson pull some time back on that final split? He was 5.9 back going into split number 3 in the Scrapyard Rock Garden. Jackson to the line, and it's a 2:59.49 for Corey Jackson. Going to end up 4.8 back, busting straight through the finish corral. And it's Ronnie Vance out of Estmont, Virginia. Vance qualified in 6th in seeding yesterday, and this man is always ready to go full gas for a finals run. Just saw Vance ripping at Bryce Bike Park for some of their opening day edits. Oh, Vance getting a little bit bucked there on the tombstone at the top, but that just might be the order of business today. Perfect through that section. You've got to think this split will be green for Ronnie Vance. Through the Greenstone Motorway clean, it's 2.28 up for Ronnie. Well, he's here on home Virginia soil, so you know Ronnie Vance wants to make a statement in finals. Real nice setup right there, weaving through a couple trees mid-track. Straight down the rider's left line in Party Rock. Vance is letting the bike dance through the loam. No moisture to be found on this track. We had a sprinkle early today, but it did not soak in. Big wide setup there for Vance. Interesting. And he's still 2.6 up there at split number 2 into the scrapyard. Vance just pointing it straight downhill. So he's got 2 seconds to play with. Can Vance extend this? He should be our new hot seat time. Yes, it will be. 251.07 for Ronnie Vance, 3.6 up. What a run right there from the Virginian. 5 riders left in our pro men's final, and it's Ian Norris out of Glenville, Pennsylvania, seating in 5th. Norris riding for the RAC Gravity team. Just had a big raffle to support the recovery efforts for Phil Downell, who went down with a heavy slam earlier this year. So Norris coming out with heavy hitters as well in the Massanutten Ridge Rock Garden. A big double right there. Wow. That has got to get him some time at split number 1. Yeah, so much time to be made and lost there in the Massanutten Ridge Rock Garden. Able to kind of give yourself a breather here in the Greenstone Trailcraft Motorway. And no, it's red. It is 1.46 down on Norris. So Ronnie Vance put together a great top section right there. Norris holding it wide. I gotta say, Ian Norris looking to definitely be on pace. He's inside right there, coming into Party Rock. And again, riders left. Bit of a gap to take out a couple square edge hits. So you'll find Ian Norris racing on the Eastern States Cup as well as Downhill Southeast. And you can hear the bike working for Norris. Oh my, just put it straight into the outside line there. He's 16 back, so some moments for Norris. We could see a couple on camera right there, but some big moments we did not see. It's gonna bump Norris back to 5th at that second split. So not gonna be Norris's day to hop onto the top 3 podium spots at Downhill Southeast. Norris will cross the line there in 6th, 3:11.96, 20 seconds off the pace. Well, there's Jake Kahn out of Oliver Springs, Tennessee. Yeah, he's smiling, folks, because he's loving the track here. Actually part of the Downhill Southeast crew that came and taped these tracks for our Cat 1 and our Cat 2-3 racers. So Kahn been hanging out in Virginia for a couple days, making sure these tracks are right and ready. Been riding real strong this year, as you can see. He's got that bike working well. Oh, and hopped over a big square edge. That's a new take on that section. Kahn was 2nd place overall in the series in 2021. And it's .81 back for Kahn, so very much in touch with that run of Ronnie Vance. Kahn on pace here as he dives deep into split number 2. Approaching Party Rock, and yes, he will go riders left again, keeping both wheels on the ground. Lots of places to make time, and there's really only a few sections that aren't on camera here in split number 2, so we'll really be able to see the full story. Kahn with that beautiful middle line through the off-camber rock garden. Yeah, riding with a lot of energy and aggression. Kahn's turned it around. He's 4.38 up at split number 2. That is huge. So Kahn was 10th at round 1, 11th at round 2. Part of the trail crew at Wind Rock Bike Park. He spends a lot of time on this Santa Cruz V10. 4 seconds up at split number 2. That's massive. Kahn gonna go fastest. 5.3 up on Ronnie Vance with a 2:46 into the hot seat. Well, here is Max Beaupré, a man whose riding is as wild as his hairstyle. 2:51.05 was his qualifying time for the rider out of Hendersonville, North Carolina. Beaupré riding on that beautiful Cannondale Jekyll this year. Been crushing it at the enduro races, but he's got the dual crown fork on today. And you can tell he is vibing with that bike. Look at the style on him. Right over those holes. Beaupré was 2nd. Oh my goodness, wow. Held it together. That hole is taking people down today. See if he can get back up to pace. Split number 1 coming up. Kahn is in the hot seat, and Beaupré going to be just back, 2.74. Plenty of time to pull that back if Beaupré can put together a smooth run here in split number 2. He was second at the Tennessee National Enduro this year behind none other than Richie Rude. So we know he's got the endurance on a really physical track like Massanutten. Oh, and Beaupre with a new line through Party Rock on the rider's right line. Into some of these loamy corners. I know Beaupre gonna hold it wide open here. He was 5th at round 1 in Trials Training Center. Conditions could not have been more different. It's a complete mud fest. Lost a little bit more time. 4.8 back for Beaupre. Oh, just hovering over the scrapyard rock garden. So Beaupre gonna try to pilot this to a podium position. He was 4th at split number 2. Gotta make up a little more time.
There is Max Beaupre.
And he will make up some more time. It's a 2:49.04, so Beaupre sliding into 2nd place there. Great run for the young racer out of Hendersonville, North Carolina. He's claiming it. Here is Steve Estabrook. Estabrook riding for Defiant Racing, our 2nd fastest qualifier with a 2:44.81. Estabrook has had a busy season thus far. He went down to Costa Rica for the Costa Rica Open DH, a real high-quality UCI downhill race in Costa Rica. Oh, and I like that move from Estabrook over the Tombstone Gap, took it to the inside. Nice and tidy through the Massanutten Ridge Rock Garden. Oh, and look at him, just flowing the Greenstone Trailcraft motorway, trying to save some energy. It's a brilliant split 1.34 up for Estabrook. Yeah, he's not had the results that he would have liked really this far in Downhill Southeast. 14th at round 1, 8th at round 2. We know he's got more pace than that, of course. Seating in 2nd today. The Defiant Racing rider on that rider's left line through Party Rock. Estabrook smooth in these corners. You just got to hold pace here. We've seen a couple riders get caught up there, but Estabrook making it look smooth. Running that inside, able to sneak around that tree. Let's see, split 2. He's up 1.48 up on Con for Steve Estabrook. And Estabrook has this thing pointed straight north-south. No problems in the scrapyard rock garden, so he was over 1 second up. Can he extend that coming to the finish? We've got Nico Mullally next. Estabrook's gonna need all he can. It's a 2:44. Great run there for Estabrook. And here is our fastest seated rider, Nico Mullally out of Pisgah Forest, North Carolina, a 2:39.1 in seating. So the only rider on the mountain to break that 2:40 barrier. Mullally started his season off with a win at the Costa Rica Open Downhill. Then had an unfortunate finger injury at round 1 at Downhill Southeast, but he is back and fully up to pace. Not even hopping to clear those holes. Oh, Mullally is charging this afternoon, folks. Trying to punish this mountain. Split number 1 coming up from Mullally. He's 3.64 into the green. A huge split 1. On the newest prototype for the Frameworks Racing program. Getting ready to tackle the World Cup circuit, Mullally putting a huge chunk of time into Estabrook at split 1. Coming into Party Rock, he's on the inside. And there is Mullally, rough through Party Rock. No! Oh my goodness, the tire is off. The insert is out. Must have been a huge hit. Mullally was on a completely different pace than the other riders. The fans in the scrapyard still stoked to see Mullally, the man who started Downhill Southeast. So really one of the creators of this great scene we have now at Downhill Southeast. He's gonna limp it to the finish line, but he'll be well hydrated after that little stop in the scrapyard. Not his day today, but the fans still loving every second of seeing Mullally out here on course. That means it's Steve Estabrook. He will take his first downhill southeast win. Jake Kahn in second, and Max Beaupre rounding out your podium in third.
I had cleaner practice laps, but I had some different lines in the race run, and that helped for the mistakes that I made. And the rain held off, so it was a good time, good weekend. Yeah, I rode here last year. I liked it, which caters to me, I think. It's just fast and straight and rough, so I had a good time. Track was good, changes were good.
After round 3 here in Massanutten, these are your Pro Cat 1 Women's Series overall point standings. And Shell Peugeot extending her lead at the top of these standings with 75 points overall after that win today in Massanutten. Abigail Ronka still hanging on to second place, just 10 points back of Shell Peugeot. And Xana Logar going to be in third with 57 total points. Caitlin Farmer in fourth, and Lily Driver moving into fifth place with 38 points. Steve Estabrook will jump to the top of our overall points standings with 50 points, taking 26 for the win today. Jake Kahn in second, just 2 points back of Estabrook with 48. And Max Beaupre, after his third place finish, will sit in third in the overall with 39 total points, 9 points back on Jake Kahn. Jordan Bolden gathering 18 points today in fourth place. And Zach Miron still holding on to fifth. Cooper Rodriguez and Matt Spong gaining some valuable points into 6th and 7th respectively. So this race heating up as we move to New Jersey.
Well, that's it for round number 3 of SRAM Downhill Southeast here at Massanutten. It was a battle between man, machine, and this course here at Massanutten. Had so many wheels and flat tires throughout the weekend. Steve Estabrook and Shell Peugeot hanging on to take the wins here. We can't wait to come back next year.
So we've reached the halfway point, and we'll be making moves up to New Jersey for round number 4 at Mountain Creek Bike Park, May 13th through 15th. Round number 4 will be in West Virginia at Snowshoe, June 3rd through 5th. And our series finale in the high country of North Carolina will be at Beach Mountain Resort, June 24th through 26th. Registration is open for all 3 of these rounds. So if you like the atmosphere you see here on the video, get registered, and we'll see you at one of the final 3 Downhill Southeast races.
So pack those rigs up. We'll see you at Mountain Creek. For everyone at Downhill Southeast, I'm Trill Will. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to the racers and their families for supporting the series. We'll see you in New Jersey.